Today, we're talking about the true cost of buying a house in the Greater Moncton area.
Hi there, we are Denise and Marc, a husband and wife real estate team in the Greater Moncton area. And today we're breaking down all the costs associated with buying a house here. Since we're not talking about house prices themselves today, we're going to use the latest benchmark price in this area. The Canadian Real Estate Association collects and analyzes data each month to come up with a price you could expect to pay for a typical house with the most popular features in this area. That's the benchmark price, and currently it's $363,800. Let's round it up to $365,000 to keep things a little simpler. So let's get started. Aside from the price of the house itself, when you're ready to buy a house, there will be many other expenses to consider and be ready for. The first and most significant one is your mortgage down payment, assuming, of course, that you are like most people and need a mortgage. Typically, you'll need a down payment of at least 5% of the purchase price. That'll be $18,250.
Now, when we talk about mortgages and down payments, we need to talk about mortgage insurance. When we say mortgage insurance, we don't mean insurance to protect you in case you fall ill or worse. We're talking about insurance to protect the lender in case you were to ever default on your loan repayments. In Canada, any mortgage with a down payment of less than 20% must be protected with mortgage insurance. This coverage comes at a cost to the lender, but they're happy to pass it along to you. Now, it's normally added to the mortgage loan, so it won't be an out-of-pocket expense at the time of purchase, but it's still very much a cost associated with a purchase of a house. The cost will vary depending on the size of your down payment, but in our case, if we take our $365,000 house, less the 5% down payment, we're left with $346,750. With 5% down payment, the default mortgage insurance premium would be 4%. So that works out to be $13,870, which goes back onto the mortgage loan for a total loan amount of $360,620. If you have a bigger down payment saved up, the insurance premium will be less. If you have between 10 and 15%, the premium will be 3.1%, and if you have between 15 and 20%, it drops to 2.8%. If you have 20% or more, you can probably qualify for an uninsured mortgage, which will save you the cost of the premium. Now, the CMHC, that's the Canada Mortgage and Housing Corporation, they say the savings from better interest rates offered for insured mortgages compared to uninsured mortgages will often offset the cost of the insurance. That will most likely differ on a case-by-case basis.
Up next is an appraisal. An appraisal is an evaluation conducted by a third party who is certified to appraise properties based on several methods. The purpose of the appraisal is to ensure the amount of money the bank is lending you is in line with the true value of the property. To put it plainly, the bank does not want to lend you $450,000 for a house that's worth $300,000. Like mortgage default insurance, this is another form of protection for the bank. They want to know that they'll be able to recoup most of their money if you were to default on your mortgage. And like insurance, the cost of the appraisal is passed on to you, except this one will come out of pocket. In most cases, if you have less than 20% as a down payment, the lender will not require the appraisal because their risk is minimized through the mandatory default insurance. But if you have more than 20% down, you won't be required to have the mortgage insured, so there's a good chance they'll want it. You can expect to pay $400 to $500 for the appraisal.
Getting a home inspected before buying is a very good idea and highly recommended. It will help you understand the condition of the property and could uncover hidden issues that might not be obvious during a walkthrough. It will give you peace of mind and could help save you from costly surprises down the road. Like most services, the cost of an inspection will vary depending on what level of inspection you choose. Packages can run from $500 to even $1,000, and sometimes even a little bit more for a typical residential property, with added services like infrared scanning, moisture detection, and 3D mapping available.
If the property you're buying is outside the municipal water service area and the water comes from a well, you'll want to have the water tested to be sure it's safe to drink. Most inspectors are happy to handle this for you for a very reasonable fee, but sometimes you will have to take care of this yourself due to the timing for conditions to be completed on time. There's 2 water tests you can opt for. The first one is a basic potability test that should be done in all cases for properties on a well. That one is $50 and you'll see the results in 24 hours. The second test is what they call the inorganic test. It's much more in-depth and tests for trace metals and minerals. This particular test is $148 and takes 7 to 10 business days to get the results back. The tests are simple to do. A little cleaning at the water source where the sample is to be taken. We let the water run for approximately 15 to 20 minutes to ensure we're not getting water that was sitting in the plumbing, but rather it's coming directly from the well. And we collect the sample in small bottles provided by a local lab. The samples are then dropped off at the lab here in Moncton. The basic potability test is done here on site in Moncton, while the more in-depth inorganic site is shipped to Fredericton for testing there.
So those are the upfront costs of your home purchase. Next, we get into your closing costs. Your closing costs encompass everything that will need to be completed to finalize the sale and transfer the ownership over to you. To do this, you'll need to hire a lawyer who handles real estate. Here again, the fees will vary from lawyer to lawyer, but you can expect to pay in the range of $800 to $1,200 for their services. Your bill will come with all sorts of other small fees charged by the agencies they need to work with for registration, title insurance, meter readings, and these types of things. Let's call these miscellaneous fees, and you can expect approximately $600 to $800 worth of them. Also payable through the lawyer is a provincial land transfer fee. In New Brunswick, any property sold is subject to a 1% tax. That 1% is charged on either the actual sales price or the assessed value of the property, whichever is higher. In our case, buying a $365,000 house, we'll have to pay $3,650.
And finally, we have adjustments. Adjustments are things that have been prepaid by the seller for a period that extends beyond the closing date. The best example is property taxes. Those are paid for the year ahead by homeowners. So for example, if taxes have been paid for the year and your closing date or the date of possession is September 1st, you'll need to reimburse the sellers for the taxes paid to cover the period from September 1st to December 31st. This is calculated by counting the number of days in the year where you will have possession, so in this case 121. Then you need to know how much the daily tax amount is. Let's say the assessed value is the same as the sale price. Taxes will be around $5,200 per year, which translates to $14.25 per day. So you'll have to reimburse the seller $1,724. Other examples of things that could need to be adjusted at closing are remaining propane in large propane tanks that are often used for fireplaces, any remaining oil in an oil tank for a house that uses oil heat, or in some cases, even firewood. This one might not be as common, but if you're buying a home where the current owner uses a wood stove and might have several cords of wood sitting in the backyard ready to burn, unless it's specifically written in the contract that it's included in the sale, there could be an adjustment for the homeowner to be reimbursed for that wood.
And the last one is moving costs. This one is tough for us to put a number on because there are so many variables that go into it. If you're moving locally, it could be as simple as asking a few buddies to help out for a beer and a pizza. But if you are moving across Canada, say from BC, and you're packing up your 3-bedroom home and all of your worldly possessions, it could easily cost you tens of thousands of dollars. It really depends on your own personal situation. So just be sure to do your homework so you can add it into your budget.
Okay, so let's recap. You're buying a $365,000 house. You'll need a minimum $18,250 down payment. You'll have your mortgage default insurance of $13,870 that you won't have to pay out of pocket, but it's still a cost to you. It's just added to your mortgage. Next, we talked about appraisals, but with 5% down, you'll have an insured mortgage, so you probably won't need to pay for one. If you do, you can expect to pay $400 to $500.
After the appraisal, you've got your home inspection. It's highly recommended, and it will range from $500 to $1,000 depending on the package that you go with. If you're outside of municipal services, you'll have your water test of $50 and $148. You've got your lawyer's services between $800 and $1,200. Let's call it $1,000. Miscellaneous fees for registration and such, you should allow $600 to $800. So let's say $700. The land transfer fee of $3,650, and any adjustments, which we can't put a number on because each situation is different. But it wouldn't hurt to budget a few thousand at least, just in case, for a grand total of $24,948.
May as well call that $25,000.
Plus your moving costs.
And once you're all moved in, you'll have your ongoing costs like maintenance, insurance, property taxes, power bill, maybe natural gas, and water and sewer. We cover all of that and more in another video, which we'll link at the end of this one. So hopefully this video helped you understand all the costs involved in buying a house in the Greater Moncton area. If you're ready to start your real estate journey and would like to partner with us, our contact info is in the description below. We'd love to hear from you. So until then, we are Denise and Marc. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.